making sure.
You're live.
Welcome. My name is Sonia Hua, and today our talk is being broadcast live on YouTube, on Facebook Live, and on podcast. So we will ask that you refrain from asking questions and making too much noise or passing in front of the camera as we're filming the entire discussion. There will be time for questions at the end, and so write down your questions. And if I didn't answer the questions by the time we reach the end of the discussion, then I will answer everything for you. Today's talk is fears cause your greatest wounds. When I was preparing for this talk, I was thinking that there's so many ways that I know how to take care of this, right? What is the best way for today, right? Because we don't want to repeat what we've talked about already with the previous talks and what we're talking about in the next coming talks. And so we've decided to go today with Akashic Records. Why is that? Because sometimes our fears are called irrational fears. And so those are the fears like claustrophobia and agoraphobia, that the fear of closed space, the fear of open space, the fear of heights, but we don't know why we're so afraid. But because of those fears, we're not doing certain things in our lives, right? This is one of the areas that it becomes obvious that fears are affecting our behavior and our choices in our lives, right? The other fears I'm going to talk about is the fears that are lying in your subconscious, and that you're not so much aware are there, but are still affecting your everyday choices and the way that you decide to do things, or where to do things, or who to do things with. So how do we create our fears? For the ones that, so we'll start with the fears that we know, and then eventually I'll talk about, I know in the order of the description, it said that we talked about Akashic Records first, and I'm like, no, maybe it'd be better to talk about our present fears that we actually create in this life, and then we can go in the past lives fears and then figure things out from there. So how do we create fears, right? That should be our first questions, because we are born without them. So do we develop those over time? The fears are created by ego. It's ego trying to protect itself. What is ego? Ego is your personality. Ego is what makes you, you, right? So I do want to not be a full inflated ego, which is full of myself and going around prancing like a very fancy bird, but I also don't want to lose who I am. Without my ego, my personality is gone, and I just become a blank slate that just sound like a robot, pretty much, right? Because robots have no personality. At least technically they didn't used to. Now they're starting to get there. So ego creates those fears to protect its integrity. So we'll give you an example of the first fear that I created for myself. I was big, so maybe 12, 13, 14 months old. I could walk, but was not a steady walk. Right? So I can see myself, and I look like the Michelin Man as I'm walking. And I got something I want to show my mother, and it's very, very important. And I go over to her, and I can see the whole setting, and I'm in the kitchen, and she's by the sink. As an adult, now today, I know that she was either washing vegetables, cooking, who knows, maybe she was emptying the hot water from the potato she'd boiled. I don't know, because I'm this big. I can't see what she's doing, and I certainly at that age don't understand what's happening. But I go near to her, and she pushes me with her leg, right? Stay away. So I'm like, okay, well, that wasn't very nice, but this is really important. Now, how important was it? I was 12 to 14 months, but I've just discovered something absolutely fantastic, and I really want to share it with somebody, and she's the only person in the house. So I said, okay, well, maybe she didn't really see how important this really was. So I'm just going to go back in and, get her attention, and then she's really going to see how this is amazing. And it could have been as simple as I figured out to put the round thing into the round hole, and now I wanted it back. I don't know. Can't remember that part. And so this time she turns around, barks something at me, and pushes me again. Undeterred, because that's who I am. I go back in for a third time because this is really important, right? Come on. And now this time now she yells at me. She's really mad. She literally pushed me. I fall back down and my little heart shattered in a million pieces and it hurts. I actually felt that pain and it really hurts, right? And I'm unequipped to understand why my mother is acting that way. And so I developed the fear of rejection. Why? Because it really hurts and I don't want to hurt like this again. And ego steps in and says, it's okay, I'll protect you. From now on, when you get close to me, be possibly anything remotely looking like you might be rejected, I will bring emotions up in you that will make you run in the opposite direction to protect you. And it's ego, so it's all happening in the subconscious level, and I know nothing about what just happened other than I'm heartbroken, I'm very sad, and my mother really doesn't care, so there must have been something important going on that my safety, I was safer to follow my butt over there than to be here burnt or whatever. Yes? However, now I harbor this fear of being rejected. And this fear creates a buffer. Because it doesn't, imagine a force field around you, right? If you put the force field too close, and it's a very pointy, sharp object, it might pierce the field. So therefore, the field must be thicker, broader around you to protect you from any attacks or possible resemblance of an attack. So now, anytime someone is kind of grumpy, anytime someone is not paying attention to me the first time, anyone who doesn't seem to care so much about me, I'm not going to try 3 times. I'm going to look the first time and go, ooh, I don't feel so good. This doesn't feel great. And I'm walking away from it. Because now I have the fear of being rejected. Now, with that person I rejected, I don't know. But I didn't try. Okay? All right. So, the fear is then powered by your emotions. So the more emotions you have, the more emotional you are, the grander the emotions feel, the more your fear pops to the surface. Because great emotions would come with great possibility of harm. Yes? That. So your fears are wounds hidden in your subconscious. Now, you have to examine your fears. What are you guys afraid of? Anybody? Audience participation.
Never having enough money.
Not enough money.
Fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection.
Standing up.
Ooh, fear of standing out. Okay. Luckily, I don't have that. I'm in trouble. What else?
Heights.
Huh?
Heights.
Fear of heights. Okay. So what? Yeah.
Weight.
Mm.
Gain weight. Or
Gaining weight. Okay. So fear of your physical body getting out of control.
yes.
Okay. Anybody
No
else?
control, maybe. That's the.
Okay. We'll get that. Now, 1 second.
Maybe not like what other people think of you.
Okay. So fear of how am I perceived?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So out of those fears, do you have one?
Personal
Same.
space.
For me?
Personal space.
Jeez, you're safe.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
I've had people being afraid of not being healthy. I've had people being afraid of aging. I've had people being afraid of being alone. I have people being afraid of their children not being happy. Okay? Those are all real fears because how do you recognize you're afraid? It makes you feel anxious. It makes you feel bad on the inside. It feels like literally something's eating you up. Yes? Fears don't feel good. But they're powered by something else, your emotions. So as you need to examine your fears in order to determine what's your wound. So you have to determine the source of this fear. Lately, I've been working with a lot of people and I tell them, okay, bring me the list of your fears and let's see what you got. Now, someone brought a long, long list. And they were very discouraged when they came in. They said, look, I have over 50 fears. How are we ever going to get myself through this? I said, because we're going to examine your fears. And as we examined the fears, this person realized, hang on, I actually don't have 50 fears. I have 3 fears. And I'm so afraid that it's taking up different facets, like a diamond, right? And one fear of not being afraid of, like you said, you're afraid of gaining weight, and then also, well, hang on, it's more, I'm afraid of losing control. And then if we look at a long list of fear, you can see that a lot of the fears are about losing this control, right? So the long list of fears is your first step at getting it all out there, because we're attacking the subconscious when we're going to this direction. And so it's important that you kind of misdirect it. You say, okay, look, it's not so bad. We're just listing all the fears I have. See, we're not going there just yet. But then you go down the list and you realize your fear of not having money actually is a fear of not feeling worthy. And so because you're not good enough, you don't deserve money. And that's why you can't get enough money. Right? So we need to determine out of these fears, what is the primal fears that you have carried since childhood? So their principal primal fears are usually fear of rejection, fear of confrontation, fear of abandonment, fear of not being worthy or not being good enough, fear of betrayal, or fear of being used, and fear of losing control. Why? And this is still a tertiary one. Why are you afraid to lose control? What's going to happen if you lose control? And then the true fear comes, I'm afraid that I will hurt someone. Because if we go back to their childhood, there'd be, and I'm not saying that's yours, I'm just, it's a supposition here. You go back and you realize that every time our mother or father lost control, they got hit, right? Or something got broken, or something got destroyed, and it provoked this fear. So then becomes the OCD behaviors, the obsessive compulsive disorder, trying to control everything. Everything has to be in a certain place and a certain done in a certain order, right? When you're talking to people, you need to control where the conversation is going. Because what if you lose contact or you lose touch with what's being said, then someone may get triggered. And then it might be, right? It's a constant need for this, is a constant need for your safe. And that is your primal fear. You don't feel safe. I'm not safe. Okay? So you have to dig deeper in order to find where is the wound coming from. Because originally this fear was to protect you. You were to recognize this is happening, oh my God, it's going straight for the volcanic eruption. I need to hide, and this is where the ego at one point did serve a purpose, right? These fears are not originating completely out of nowhere. However, they are reinforced by certain emotions or by certain events or incidents that happen in our lives. So I'm afraid of being rejected. I start school, I go to grade 1. I'm having it pretty good so far. I tend to be pretty charming. People like me on a normal basis-ish. But I'm in grade 1, and what do you do when you first get to school? You find a friend, right? You want a friend. Everybody's getting a friend, and you better get in there because they're going to all pair up, right? So you're counting the number of people, even number of girls, we're good. Okay, which one, right? And then you go and you make a friend. Mine happened to move mid-year, and she went away, far away, to a place where she was never found. I don't know where she went. I was in grade 1, and we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have contact, we didn't have Facebook, we didn't have email. I had no way of ever staying in touch with this young girl. But now, everybody's got a friend except me. Did they reject me? No. Was it anybody's fault? No. But I feel rejected. And I feel lonely. Oh, so now, these emotions of if you get rejected, you feel lonely, and that feels this way, is powering up this fear of rejection even more. So what does that develop into as you become a teenager, for example, or a young adult? Sonia, would you do this to me? Yes. Did you have the time to? Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. not thinking that I may not have the time, that I might be sacrificing my hours of sleep, that I may get sick eventually or burn out because I don't want to be rejected. And this is causing me harm because during this time, when this is happening, people, not always ethical or authentic, are like, oh, just ask Sonia, she always says yes. Because that's what eventually it turns out to be, right? People are realizing, oh, well, if you ask this person, yeah, they'll do it. As if, we're pulling this garbage and just pile on the garbage a little higher, because who cares? She never says no. And then who do we blame? We go home and we're frustrated and we're telling our mom or dad or spouse or boyfriend, whatever, they keep taking advantage of me, I don't like it, I don't, blah, blah, blah. And now we have anger, powering up this emotion on top of everything. But who do we really have to blame? You. Fear of rejection. You are causing this because you're afraid. And it's causing then, in my case, I'm always talking about me because, I'm the best example in the world. What happened is that people took advantage. But I love them, right? Let's be clear. I'm not blaming them. But they did take advantage. And they didn't care if I had time to do the cleaning of my house or my homework or, do anything else. Or it's always me that does the closing and they get to go home a half an hour earlier than I do every night. And it's okay, you're getting paid. Oh, well, maybe I'd like to go home tonight, and you stay behind and count the cash. But, gotta let my dog out or gotta let go of the babysitter. And you always feel, oh, well, yeah, sure. Right? Because you don't want them to reject you. And then eventually it comes to an end or a point where you can't do it anymore. You burn out or you get sick and something goes terribly wrong and you have no choice but to admit to yourself, this can't go on anymore. And you have to face your fear of rejection. You're going to have to say no. You're going to have to change that behavior. Now, this is just one fear. I challenge anybody in this room to tell me that they just have one fear. Right? You don't. You have multiples. So this is just one fear, one behavior that you develop that is a nuisance to you and will eventually make you sick. But now you start examining the other fears, which was for me the fear of abandonment, which developed when I was a baby because I was in the hospital a lot, and then my parents would leave and I would be alone in the hospital bed in a crib, and like asking myself as much as I could at that age, what have I done? Was it that I sucked my thumb wrong? Was it that I laughed too loud? What did I do that they're abandoning me? And it was like being in prison, right? Picture the crib. I'm being put in jail. And then I'm being poked and prodded. And then I'm not feeling so good. And oh my gosh. Now I'm developing the belief that I am not worthy, that I can clearly be abandoned at repetitive ways by the people who should love and care the most about me, and I don't know why. This creates even more confusion, and then your ego steps in and says, okay, well, if you don't know why, now we're going to start observing. And every time if we can find a pattern, then that'll be the pattern. And when you can't find a pattern, you develop bigger fears. Because now you're afraid of this fear, and you don't know how to control this fear, and you have another fear. And these fears are continuously building up, creating beliefs, because sometimes it's not because you're 5 that you'll get the right answer, right? Just in my case, my dad was the only one with the car. My mom didn't have a car, so she couldn't visit during the week, and my dad worked all day, and so they only visit on weekends. Did they abandon me? No. It's just the way it was back then. They didn't think that, contrary to what people do today, they take time off work, they spend the entire days at the hospital with their kids, and it's not the way it was done. And I won't say how old I am. So, you can't be mad at them. You can't be angry at them. But this fear is still there. How do I take care of this, but taking care of me now, right? Well, first of all, it's important that you understand that the more you feel the emotions that are fueled by this fear, the more you're reinforcing this fear. Okay? Which means that if you're angry, that you felt abandoned, and that someone abandoned you and it wasn't right, because instead of going to the original cause of where this all started, we usually stop at the most obvious one. My boyfriend left me. He abandoned me. I had actually had some students when I relocated my center from Langley that actually accused me of abandoning them. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry you feel this way, but I'm not abandoning you. I'm just moving. And I'm allowed to move. I'm, not your caregiver. It's okay for me to go somewhere, but you really, really should take a good look at why is the fear of being abandoned cropping up for you. This is an opportunity for you to start looking back and looking at all these different events in your life where you did feel abandoned until you can trace it back to the original source. But you can choose to just be in the anger of feeling abandoned or betrayed or used up or whatever it is. But every time you do that, what you do is you put more pile of dirt on top of this box of fear. You're adding to the fuel of the fire that keeps burning very bright inside of you, that makes this fear just want to go deeper into the recess of your body. So, it works the same way with happy thoughts, right? If I ask anybody to pick an event in their life that made them really happy, you got one?
Move around first.
Move around first. Anybody's got a very happy event in their life?
Yelling at Disney World.
Okay.
Oh,
But look
yeah.
at her. Look at her. Right there. She's giggling. The toes are moving. They're wriggling. She's got a big smile on her face. Just bringing up the sheer memory of this is bringing this immense amount of joy and emotions. And we haven't even heard the story yet. She just mentioned, just the thought of recalling this entire memory brings her that much joy. The same way that when you examine one of your fears, you're bringing all the yucky stuff. And this is why we keep pushing it back down. Because that does not feel nice. It does not feel good. What I'm trying to get at is that it doesn't last forever. If you can examine it and you take its power away, then you're free of the fear being fueled by the emotions. So, if you're deciding to store the anger and the resentment and the anxiety instead of releasing those, then you're powering up your actual fear instead of getting rid of it. Now, another thing that's really important is fears often comes from secrets. They come from hiding things, right? And we're afraid to be found out. The best way to air out your fears is to air out your truth and become an authentic person. So what is it you're afraid of? You said something about not being enough or not wanting to be found out or being in public. And what do you think people will find? What are you trying to hide? That's why you're afraid. You're afraid that someone will actually, while you're in the spotlight, find something about you you don't want them to know. What could be so bad about you that needs to be hidden? Now, unless you went and murdered people on the weekend, I can see that would be an issue. But for most of regular people, psychopaths set aside, we've done nothing that we truly need to be shamed for or be worried about. Everybody had life lessons to learn. Everybody did something or other that they're maybe not proud of. But that doesn't define you as a bad person. It defines you as the person you build yourself to be out today. Build you to be a stronger person, a better person. And those were not mistakes, but learning lessons. Okay? So now, we get reinforced, yes. Emotion powder cells. Just catching up on my notes. Now, when you're supposed to feel anger and fear, what do you do when that happens? when you're feeling that anger and the fear, or the anxiety, or when you're having an emotion, what do you do?
Cry.
Huh?
Cry.
You
I
cry.
eat.
You
I
eat.
Eat. Yeah.
Try to see where it's coming from.
Ooh. Okay. We'll get to you back. But you cry.
Mm-hmm.
You seriously, or if you're having an emotion right now, you're gonna start crying in front of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You will.
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of your progress. That is wonderful. I congratulate you.
Yeah.
Because what do we do when it's time to cry? Hide.
Stuff it down.
Hide.
Yeah.
Right? What do we do when we're angry?
Explode in some capacity, whether it's a verbal assault or hitting someone, or I mean that's the typical response I'm used to with anger. Personally, me, I just kind of like just scowl. But
Okay, but let's go with not what you think would happen, but your personal experience. Most people are
Raise your
angry. What do?
voice.
They bite their lip,
Yeah.
right? They cry. They got the tight fist, and they turn around. They walk away. Right? They see something absolutely appalling, and they're watching it, and they're like, "I can't believe this is happening," and they do nothing about it. And their anger becomes a seething fire inside of them. Right? I mean, in most reality of the cases, it's very rare that you'll have someone who's going to start yelling and causing a scene. You have the one or two, but in the majority, 98% of the people, that's not what they do. They put it all back, repackage it in a tight box, and swallow it in. Just the same as when you're anxious. Why do we sell so many drugs about depression and anxiety and everything else?
because it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. And instead of living with it, you're being told, oh, you don't need to feel anything. Here's a pill. Here's another pill. Right? Am I wrong here, people?
No,
Right? I'm not. So we're not used to feeling anything. And when we do feel something, we're told it's not okay to feel those things. So don't feel anything. But why are these emotions there in the first place? What happens when you're angry? You're angry because you just saw something that makes no sense, that is completely deprived or, wrong, and you're angry. So you're supposed to use that anger to become aware and realize that the anger is not bad. What's bad of the anger is if you actually do hurt someone, if you do break something, then yes. You have to control the anger, but you have to recognize the anger. You can't just swallow the anger back in and do nothing about it. Because guess what? It's burning the energy. It's burning inside of you. Right? And then you wonder why you're tired all the time. Well, you're tired because you're burning a lot of energy doing nothing productive. Instead of realizing and accepting, geez, I need to make a change. If you're in a relationship and you're angry all the time, it's time to at least have a talk. I'm not saying get out the door and leave, but I'm saying you need to say, okay, whenever you do this is really upsetting to me. I have 3 kids, so I'm used to relationship being very upsetting. But I'm like, when you throw your dirty laundry in the bathroom while you go and have a shower and you leave it behind, it makes me angry because you make me feel like I'm your servant. Oh, I don't treat you like that, Mom. Actually, you do. Because who else is going to pick this up? Well, I'll pick it up later. You see, that's my problem. Because later, maybe a friend will pop in. Maybe I want to use the bathroom, and then I find your dirty stuff on the floor, and that's disgusting. It's disrespectful to me, and I don't like it. Now, did I yell during this entire conversation? No. But was I angry about the situation? Yes. And this is where you have to manage anger. But because we never manage our emotions, eventually we bottle it up, and we explode. And we become this big, huge volcano, and then we say mean things, horrible things, and we say things we didn't mean to say, and then the other person gets, angry because why are you attacking me like this, and right? And we lose control of the entire situation. Now we're causing more wounds, emotional wounds. So it's time to acknowledge we have emotions for a reason and address these emotions as they come up. Not bottle them up and save them for later. Or not right now, or today's not a good day. It's never going to be a good day. Talk about it when it happened before it had time to simmer and boil over and become this huge mountain out of nothing. Right? And then the person goes, oh, I'm sorry I made you feel this way. I'm like, it's okay. Just letting you know, I would appreciate that you pick up your dirty laundry and just put it in the basket, take it to the laundry room. Don't leave it behind. You'd think that the knowledge would transfer to similar situations. No. So then you go in the kitchen and answer dirty dishes. Son! Yes, mother? Come here. Yes, dear. Okay, so as you can see, I'm trying to come to the kitchen to cook, and now I have the pile of the dirty dishes in the sink. Yeah, I'll get to them later, but I'm cooking now. You're very demanding. I said, well, that's one way of looking at it, but we're all sharing this space together, and you have to appreciate that it's not your sink, it's ours. And so everybody needs to cooperate, and you need to be doing either keep those in your room until so I don't see them, and they're not taking the space in my kitchen, and I can cook, or you clean them. So he looks at me and says, so you mean to say that you're going to make me take the dirty dishes back to my room? I'm like, or you do the dishes. It's a or option. It's not a, you have a choice, really, you do. So he's like, yeah, well, that's not what I had planned. I said, I know, but your plans are interfering with my plans. And so he thinks I'm being really funny, and I'm like, yeah, okay, you can think I'm being funny right now, but I'm not. But he's receiving the message because I'm not yelling, because I'm not exploding, because we're just talking. And I'm trying to explain how I feel. This is a valuable exercise if you have children, because children need to know how to express their emotions. Instead of being on the playground and smacking each other and, pushing each other, they can say, stop, you cheated. That's not cool. I don't like that, right? We need to be able to teach our children that. But which classes did you go to at school that did that to you? Personally, all the classes I've been through was always sit down, be quiet, do your homework. And if you must ask a question, raise your hand and maybe I'll get to you later. Not that they were bad teachers, but they weren't. It's not part of their curriculum, so they're really busy and they don't have time to teach these things that are not in the curriculum. So if we're not getting it from anywhere, is it really surprising that then we can communicate? And we build on more fears. And we create more wounds to each other. And so once the moment has passed and we've had this conversation, do I still feel angry? No.
No.
I felt angry, something was not right. I approached it, I dealt with it in the moment. And now, it's lost its power because there's nothing left that's wrong anymore. The situation is already fixed. Now, if you don't take care of it, it's funny because then you don't deal with it, and then you go have coffee with your girlfriend, and then you talk to your girlfriend about pissed off that your boyfriend's leaving his dirty socks on the floor, and you're getting all riled up, and you're all angry about it. And then you're meeting with someone else later, and they're like, oh yes, oh my gosh, and then you're swapping stories, and you go home, and you're riled up. You haven't made anything better. You've made everything worse. It's true. Anybody in a relationship, that if you're not dealing with things as they come up, that's what happens. Sometimes it happens over years of time of people neglecting to communicate with each other. And then one day they show up and they say, I want a divorce. And the other person's like, what? What? And then they say, well, your spending habit, hey, they piss me off, and then you do this, and I can't stand that. And they go down this very long list of everything they've done wrong. And this person's like, well, how was I supposed to know? Right? And the person is going, well, it's obvious, isn't it? No, it really is not. It's not obvious because you never said anything. You never discussed this. You never chatted with me about it. And now I'd like a chance to change. I'd like a chance to make up for it. Because not every divorce is because someone cheated on somebody or, sometimes it's just people just not getting along. But they don't take the time to talk. They don't take the time to communicate. So now, these fears, these emotions that are feeding the fear, you go back to festering inside of you. The anger is protecting you because you're afraid. that this person treats you like you're a slave. That was one of my fears from a past life. All right. So me having to bend over for anyone, me having to put my knee down in front of everyone, I despised it. Couldn't stand it. So me having to pick up after anybody, when you're old enough to start picking up after yourself, that was not happening. I was nobody's slave because in a past life I was. And I swore to myself that will never happen again. Right? So I have these fears working inside of me. And it's time for me to, because of course there's your kid saying, well, why does this bother you so much anyway? It's just a pair of underwear. Not that big of a deal. Right? And I'm like, no, it is. It is. And then that's when you have to be aware and awaken to the idea of, so why is this such a problem? Why is this awakening so much fear and emotions inside of me that there's something going on here? The working on your fears to heal your greatest wounds is a very introspective kind of work. You have to be really honest with yourself and with what's happening inside of you. This is not a good time to lie to yourself. This is a time to finally tell yourself the truth and look at yourself in the mirror and start asking the questions. I'll give you an example. So you have a fridge and you have food in the fridge. We all do that. And then you come in and you do groceries and you put the food in the fridge, right? And then you go and get more groceries and then you pick some stuff out, but you put some more new stuff in because you ate the broccoli. So you buy broccoli, but you buy another cucumber and whatever. And then you got some fruits in there and wow, it's really packed and we can eat some of it, but we're running low on. But you're never taking the time to look what's behind all of it, right? It's an actual technique that I teach my kids. It's like, you can't put anything else in the fridge unless you clear the fridge first. So the old stuff has to come to the front, to the surface, before you put more stuff in there. And since I'm the money holder, I don't buy any food until the fridge is completely empty. They hate that. I said, but are we ever run out of food? No. Have you ever starved? No. However, have we ever thrown food out because we didn't eat it? Yeah. Okay, well now we're not doing that anymore. So we're going to eat what's there, and once we've eaten what's there, we're going to go and buy some more and put it in the fridge. This is the same way with this analogy, is that the stuff, if you don't clear it out, it will rot. It will fester. And then it stays at the back at first, right? You don't see it. You're mostly picking at the front. If you have kids, that's what they do. They will check for the expiry date. They'll pick the newest box. They'll always open the new box because that's the fresh stuff. It would still be kind of fresh if you ate the old stuff first and get to that one later. So eventually you have to go in there and just start checking the expiry date because you don't want them getting sick. But if you're oblivious to your emotions and your fears and you don't do the checking, everything starts to go bad. And remember when I brought up the good memory? The good memory is kept the same place as the bad memory. It's like having a drawer of vegetables and a drawer of fruit. Well, eventually, they're both going to rot. Not just the bad emotions are going to make you rot. It's going to rot your good things. It's going to make you forget they existed. It's going to destroy it. It's disintegrate it. And so now, not only are you full of anger and resentment and anxiety, you also have no more joy and happiness left in you to get you through the day. And that's when we seep into depression and we seep into those burnouts, or that we become suicidal, or because there's no more light, there's no more pure, there's no more happy. It's all rotted away. Good and bad altogether. It's important, just like when we check our fridge for the expiry dates on the product to make sure that nothing's rotten in the back. We all have that. That bad cucumber behind there that's all mushy, turning liquid. And you're like, ew, all the way to the
Bad visual.
And then, you're washing that drawer and you're like, oh, there again. And you're putting it back and, This is the same with your fears and your emotions. You have to, once in a while, check the expiry date on how long have I been angry about this? How long have I been sad about this? How long How long have I been dragging this along with me? Because isn't it time to clean the fridge? And honestly, doesn't it feel good to clean the fridge? Everybody, right?
Yeah.
You go through this fridge, you're washing the fridge, emptying everything out, and then it smells good, it looks good, it's all shiny, and then you put the clean food in there and you're like, oh, it feels good.
Please no, try not to address every single fear at once. It's overwhelming.
So, the idea is that when you do this with your insides, you get all shiny, you get all clean, and you get that good feeling. Because these feelings don't have to stay there, but they do have to be examined. They do have to be looked at. Otherwise, they will fester. Okay, so now, the importance of healing, it's not just about examining these fears or patterns or, and I call them fears, but it's patterns, it's beliefs, it's emotions, it's all of those things, right? Fear is one emotion, but all emotions come from power of the fear anyway. They're all related, they're all connected. It's not just about examining them, it's about stopping the pattern, changing the belief. Okay? So not everybody's got a pen or a pencil here. It's a shame. Could you try and just grab me some pens and some pencils? And you guys at home, you can take a second to grab a pen and a pencil, because I have an exercise for you in a second, and we're going to see if we can get you to realize what I'm talking about here. Okay? The importance in the teachings of Buddha says you must be balanced and you should walk in neutrality. It's called the neutral positive. This neutral positive means that you want to edge on the side of positive, not on the side of negative, but you want to be balanced as well. Because what happens when you're super, super happy about something and super excited, it doesn't last either. Yeah. So it's better to actually be happy, but you will find that if you don't have great pits of fear or sadness in your life, you also will have you won't have a great need for the hype of joy in your life, because you'll be happy. It can be a constant, nice wave of warmth. You know. Have you ever floated down a river? You know, in a big tube?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not water rafting. Water rafting is exciting, but it doesn't last, right? You go, you boom, you're done. And it's kind of good because, you know, after a while you're like, hey, I need a break from all this up and down, and, you know. And then if you do like me, you fall overboard, you're almost drowned, people pull you out, and it's a big drama. But you're going down this tube, down this river, and you're floating. Could you not do that all day? Mm-hmm. And it's happy, and it's pleasant, and it's fun, and it's okay, right? We think that we must reach these heights of excitement to find joy in our life, when it's really, we need to eliminate the depth of, you know, our anger and our sadness. And then we will find that we don't need as much hype and excitement to compensate for these big abyss that we fall into. When I finally retired from my job, my day job that I did for 20 years, where I was extremely unhappy at the very bottom here, I needed to take drastic action to find joy. Compensate and give me enough, you know, adrenaline, endorphins, and whatever else you can think of, the dopamine and everything else to keep me happy for a while until I went back to work, felt miserable, and went back my abyss again and absolutely despair, and another excitement, right? But ever since I retired from this job, that made me very unhappy. I don't have these abysses anymore. And so I'm able to actually just need little moments of joy. And I'm happy all the time. And that's good enough for me. Because I don't need these huge roller coasters of emotions. I just want to be happy all the time, and that's all it takes. So, the healing lets you look at the cause that brought this emotion. So this is a process. So where do you start? Okay, I want you guys to, so those of you that have now a pen and a paper, write down a list of your fears. Go ahead. I'll give you 30 seconds. Write it up. Quickly. The first one that pop up. Tick, 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 tick. Don't think too much. Because when you start thinking, that's when your subconscious starts getting in the way and your ego says, oh, we're not going there. That's not happening. Just go down the list. Okay, so see if, as you're writing these, that you can actually realize that they can be grouped together. Is there some of those fears that are actually joined at the hip together? For example, I'm afraid of being sick. I'm afraid of not being able to pay the bills. I'm afraid that my business is not going to work. I'm afraid that people are not going to like me and my product, so they won't buy. Well, this all comes to, I'm afraid I won't have enough money. You understand? It all fits under the same umbrella of, if you're sick, you can't work, you don't make money. If your business doesn't take off, you don't make money. If you can't pay the bills, it's because you don't have enough money. Right? Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So the next step then is to ask yourself, is the problem really the money? Or is the problem me? And what am I afraid of? That I can't provide, or I can't be, am I not good enough? Don't I deserve this? Which one is it? Which part is now being flashed with a flashlight and a high beam of light? This is the most important part of doing this work. You have to stop thinking that you are covered with fears and that you have a million fears, and realize that you have very few little fears that are the root of the problem. And oftentimes, actually all the time, the primal fears return to you. You not being loved, you being rejected, you being abandoned, you being alone, you not being satisfied with food, you being afraid of not having security, safety. That's what it goes back to. Make your way there, but find your way there. Find how all these were created. Now, if you're having finished your list of fear, flip the paper over and now tell me, what do you want? What is it you want? Because I can guarantee you that everything that you want is everything you're afraid is going to not happen. You want more money, so I'm afraid I won't get any. I want a relationship, but I'm afraid that I'm not good enough and that people are not going to like me and I'm not going to meet the right person. I want a child, but then you're afraid, I'm not going to be a good parent and I'm not going to have enough money for a kid. Right? This will help you trace your fears back. Because it is what you want that ego says, oh, wait. Yeah, okay, but if we go there, then all these things are going to happen. You understand where I'm going with this? Your wants is what's waking up your fears. Okay? So, therefore, you have to look at what do you want and what's getting in the way of that. What you want, you deserve. You're entitled to be loved. You're entitled to be in a loving relationship. You're entitled to have enough money so you don't worry about paying the bills. And you're entitled to have a roof over your head. Every human being on this planet should have enough food and a roof over their heads and feel loved. So why are you afraid not to have that? What is it that happened in your life that caused this to be your belief? That you're unlovable, that you're unworthy. Because that is what's harming you. Buddha's teaching says you must release all attachments. That's hard. Because what you want is what you're attached to. And you're like, but I really, and honestly, I'm not judging anybody here. I was looking through my journals as I finished my biography last night. That's going to get published next week. And as I'm going through these journals at 20, 21, 22, and I made it all the way to 30, and I'm just shaking my head going, oh my gosh, how could I have been so clueless? I keep saying, but I want a nice guy, I want a relationship, I'm ready. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're kidding me? You're so not ready. It's so obvious to me. Older me looking at this journal going, oh, I'm never ready. You needed to spend some time alone. You needed to figure yourself out. You needed to heal yourself and all your wounds. That's not a time to get another person in this mix, and then now you've got their problems to deal with, and they're mirroring you, so you're attracting someone who's showing you how incomplete you are and how imperfect you are, and oh, you're not ready. But I'm convinced I am attached to this, and it's not until I let that go. And this took a decade. This is the reason why I'm doing these talks, by the way, right? I'm trying to bring an awareness in your consciousness that hopefully it won't take you guys 2 decades to figure this out, and that you can be happy now and not 2 decades from now. I'm trying to impart a little bit of the wisdom that whatever it is that you're attached to, and it Buddha. I've been reading this phrase for like 3 years, and I'm thinking, sometimes I wish he would have been a little bit clearer. And yet, once you finally understand it, it couldn't be clearer than that. It couldn't be simpler than that, but it's so simple we don't get it. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm attached to my salary, right? My wonderful day job that made me sick and made me feel terrible and created the abyss of depression and all that stuff. I was attached to the money. Why? Because maybe my mother would recognize that I'm successful. Maybe my mother would love me. But if I didn't have that job, if I didn't have that income, if I didn't have a big house, if I didn't have this, if I didn't have that, how would she know? How would I prove to her I'm successful, I am worthy, look at me, and love me? Until I let go and realize it's not within the power of this woman to ever recognize that I did anything good. She will not ever give me what I want. She can't give it to me. I'm asking her to give something she doesn't have to give. And the day that I released that, I was free to retire from that job. Because I was only holding on to that job because I wanted something so bad that I thought that was the only way I could get it. You see how twisted it gets? You're thinking you wanted money. No, I wanted the recognition. I wanted love. And that's how far deep the rabbit hole it goes. So now I retired, happily retired. And I started doing what I'm passionate about, what makes me happy. And oh, lo and behold, she looks at me, she's like, you gotta look happy now. I'm like, yes, I do. Are you okay? Because probably don't make as much money anymore. I said, no, I don't. That's a fact. And she's like, but you're okay. I said, I'm happy. That's what matters to me. And she's like, oh, well, I guess that's a good thing then. It doesn't matter to her. I don't think that unless I became the prime minister of the country, that I would never be what she thought I should be. Because as far as she's concerned, I shouldn't have gotten married. That was giving my power away. I shouldn't have had children. I should have been this big career oriented woman. And by now I should have had multiple promotions and So none of what I did mattered because it was never good enough. But I was finally releasing that attachment, and I was happy. Now that she's happy, doesn't matter. That's her own problem. But actually, I found my happiness. I found my peace. Because I let go of what I wanted so badly that I couldn't get. Now, I'm not saying that on your list of what you want, you can't get anything on that list. But maybe it has to come from a different place. It has to appear differently in your life. I would be happy to be in a relationship. However, I'm not wanting to settle. I'm not willing to be with someone who doesn't respect me, who's not loyal to me, who doesn't honor me, doesn't respect my work. So that makes me a very strong woman. That makes me a very independent woman. And then I realized, wow, what do I need a man for? Seriously, I got 6 brothers. I love my brothers. My brothers are great men, but do I need one? No. I may choose to be with someone. I may enjoy the company of somebody. Yeah, I would love to travel with somebody. I'd love to go to the movies, eat out, have someone to talk to when I'm old. Yeah. But do I need someone? No. But this was what I kept seeing in the journals over and over. I need somebody. I need my boyfriend. I need something, you know. Didn't need it. I needed to be alone to figure out that I was enough. I was okay. Because of course, not relating to the story of my mother, I was never enough, right? And I had to learn to be on my own, to be enough, to grow into that confidence that I can provide for me and my 3 children. I can be happy doing what I'm passionate about, and I'm enough because I'm the one that has to be my own judge. But for that, you have to start looking, what is it you want? And does it come from anybody else but you? And if it comes from anywhere but you, yourself, try and let it go. I want to be more proficient at public speaking. Cool, I can help you with that. I want to be a healer and do energy work. Great. That is achievable things. Because that is within your power to go and get. I want a boyfriend. That's outside of you. Okay? You understand what I'm getting at here? All right. Now, I'm asking now, on your list of wants and your list of fears, how many more fears do you have than your wants?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. And that's a general consensus. The reason is I'm asking this is, where is your focus? Is your focus on a positive thing or a negative thing? If your fears are outnumbering your wants, then you're more focusing your energy on what's negative than what's positive. Now, if you listen to the talk about the Hawaiian spiritual healing, it says to you, if you spend your thoughts and your time and your energy focusing on something, that's what you're going to get. So if you're focusing all this time on, and I only gave you guys a minute and a half to write that list. If I gave you an hour, your list would be exponentially longer than your wants. I know this for a fact, okay? Because I do this all the time with a lot of my clients. So if you have that many, it's because you spend a lot of time thinking about it. And if you spend a lot of thinking about it, it's because that's what you're creating. That's what you're focusing on. And so don't be surprised when these things actually materialize and take place. Right? Now, we need to make a shift here. And you're going to say, so how do we shift this? And the way to shift this is to actually examine each one of the fears. You have homework to do. There's no escaping this. Because you've escaped it long enough. You have avoided this long enough. And now it's time to face it and deal with it. All right? I had someone who says, well, hang on, Sonia. I'm doing what you said, you know, I'm feeling a cold coming on. I'm saying, I'm not sick. And it didn't work. I got sick. Okay. So, what was the word you were using? I'm not sick. So remember that when you're saying this, you have to say instead, I'm healthy. Okay? You have to be positive and focus on what you want. I know you don't want to get sick, but that's not what you really want. What you really want is to be healthy. So what happens when I get the sniffles? Right? Because I get the sniffles like everybody else, believe it or not, it does happen. And I go, oh, I get the sniffles. Okay, somewhere, okay, blow my nose, and poof, it's the end of it. Now, some people go, oh my God, I'm gonna get sick. oh no, I'm gonna miss work. It's gonna be terrible, and I got so much work on my desk, and what am I gonna do? I'm going to the pharmacy, I'm gonna stock up, because this looks like it's gonna be a bad one. And then it's bad, and you're like, okay, so how are you doing with all that? Oh, they're going to kick in a few days, and I'm thinking, right, but by the time a few days goes by, if I had the same cold you had, mine would be going down too. I wouldn't need all this medication, because that's how long it takes for this cold to run its course. Oh, but I'm going to feel awful until then, and they do feel awful until then. Why? Because they really, really believe it. And they're powering it up with all these emotions, and they keep thinking about it and talking about it, and it actually literally becomes what they said it would be. I always hug and kiss everybody. Not on the mouth, admittedly, but I still hug and kiss everybody. I'm a hugger. And people are like, oh, don't, that's sick. I'll give it to you. And I'm like, I don't get sick. This is your issue. This is your stuff, not mine. I'm not taking it on. And for those of you in the room who do healing work, will understand what I'm saying. We have to deal with people who are sick all the time. Obviously, they're coming to us. It's not because they feel good, and that's not because they're happy. Let's face it, because they're miserable and they're sick. So if every time someone was sick, I say, oh, you can't come, I never have it work. So I have to recognize this is your stuff. I'll help you deal with it, but I'm not taking it on. So why don't I ever get sick? Because I clear my fridge regularly. And so I don't need someone to stop me dead in my tracks with an illness, with a problem, with and it could be anything, to stop me and say, whoa, hang on, you need to take care of this now. Not saying I'm a saint, because believe me, I suffered from fibromyalgia, I was off work for 3 years, I was miserable and sick. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I'm sharing it from experience, not because I'm better than you. I'm sharing it because I've been there, I've done that. I ignored things for a long, long time. I just kept pushing. I gotta go to work, I gotta make money, I gotta do this, I gotta volunteer, I have to be there, I have to do this. And, oh, my back is hurting, take some pills, let's just keep going. And then, oh, I have the headache, oh, no, let's take more pills. And oh, those pills are not working anymore, let's go see the doctor. I'm feeling sick, this hurts, that hurts, here's more pills, thank you so much, take more pills, keep on going. Until eventually I completely broke down, and I had no choice but to sit. And I couldn't do nothing. I couldn't get out of bed alone, I couldn't get dressed alone, I couldn't come down the stairs without having to take a nap. If you think that it wasn't so bad, it was bad. I couldn't cook for my children, which luckily my son's a great chef, so he learned to cook at 10. And I would sit there in the kitchen, unable to even have him bring vegetables for me to cut because my arms were hurting so much. I couldn't move my arms. And he had to cook. Which he's grateful for today because he's a great cook and he loves it. But I was completely dependent on him. And then I had to go lay down after dinner. That was all I could do. The kids were like, Mom, you don't play with us anymore. I'd fall asleep on the couch when they would get a game out. It was debilitating. And I had to start looking at myself. Take a long, honest look at who I was, what I was becoming, and everything I've been like. I had to change. And that's the true power of healing. Is you gotta want to change. If you're not ready for change, you won't change. There's no amount of things that I can do to you that will change that. You have to be ready. And it's scary. Because you're like, you're actually asking me to go dig out my fears. Are you kidding me right now? This is difficult. I've been afraid of it all my life. And you just want me to go and dig them out. But, like Vicky said, not all of them at once. One at a time. Pick one. You can do that through meditation. So we were talking about this earlier, but starting in August, we will have a meditation series of class. So you can join us for that if you want. You can do some of the work by yourselves by doing what I'm asking you to do and figuring things out. Or at least getting down to the nuts of the beliefs that you need to change. Then you can also come and do a psych-k session and change those beliefs. And then we have 3 people in the room that already have that. And I can guarantee you, it was life transforming. It only took an hour. Because I'm there with you holding your hand, it's not as scary. So if you have someone you can trust that can be with you while you're doing this, it will help as well to face these fears. So you start with one fear and you trace back every time that fear was awoken. You know what they say, leave the sleeping dog lie? well, I want you to go and how many times that dog got poked. And start from today and work your way backwards. You work your way up to the original time. Now, how did I figure it out? That little girl thing that I said at the very beginning of the thought. This is how it happened for me. I was with the last boyfriend I was with years ago, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't think this is working," and I agree with him. Yeah, it's not working, you know. And it was one of those, okay, and it was like no big fireworks of, you know, it's like, oh, you're right, there's nothing left. Okay, all right, well, I'll leave then, you know. But we own a house together, so it's not just I can pack a box and just get out the door. So I'm like, you know, let me, you know, we arranged for this much time for me to find a place, for me to move out. Yeah, it's all good. It was totally amicable. It was wonderful. Because as we went along, we talked about things. Yeah, this would have been a very different story if all of a sudden we aired everything out all at once. But we admitted that even though we tried, we just went with one another. He was against all of what I'm doing, and I said, that's my life, and this is what I need to do. So if you can't let me do that, and if you're afraid of that, then I gotta go away, right? But all of a sudden, I find myself crying, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Because I'm not that attached to him, honestly. I'm like ready to go, but I'm crying, and I'm crying. Well, now I'm crying. I'm crying for like 2.5 hours. Now the kids are looking for me. Mom, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, Mommy's just sad right now. Just, could you please leave Mommy alone? Mommy's trying to figure this one out. And so the kids go, and now they're you know, I guess, went to the boyfriend and said, would you make dinner or something? Because Mom's crying. So he comes, finds me, says, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's nothing to do with you. Just leave. just, you know, just cook something for the kids. Leave me alone. But after 3.5 hours of this sobbing, ugly cry, like, you know, I'm like, okay, listen, what is it I'm releasing here? And don't undermine in those moments your intuition, your ability to know the truth. When I ask one of my students a question, why do you like this polo? And they say, I don't know. I'm like, okay, yes, you do. Stop saying, I don't know. They'll tell you this. I won't accept I don't know for an answer. You do know. But first, it's ego, fear. Oh, no, we're not going to go there. Right? I don't know. I'm blank slate. I don't know. So, trust your intuition. Trust the message you're receiving. So, I'm like, okay, I obviously am releasing something. That's the first thing. I'm admitting something is definitely, I'm letting it go. But I would very much like to know what it is. And sometimes you don't need to know. But I'm the curious kind, so I had to ask. And that's when I was showed this scene that was very, 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 very deep in my memory. And I was like, okay, I understand that, but why is it coming out now? Because what happened that it's bringing this out now? And what I was explaining, for those of you who don't know, my grandmother passed away before I was born, but she's my teacher, and so I'm able to ask a question and get answers. So, she's like, because, sweetheart, we only give you enough that you can handle, and right now, we feel you can handle this because this went out so well. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, he rejected you, didn't he? He's the one who said, it's over. And I was like, well, yeah, but I totally agree with him. It's just that he said it first. And that was enough for your ego to say, oh, are you being rejected? Because if you're being rejected, remember how much it hurts and how much you don't want to go there? So this is terrible. What are you going to do about this? And you told your ego, I'm sad. If I'm being rejected, I'm sad. And she's like, you're living this emotion. I said, yeah, but for 4 hours? She's like, yes, you're living the emotion for every time you felt that rejection. And you're finally honoring all of those times. And I was like, oh, wow. Right? I don't know about you, but I felt that very profound. And I was like, okay. So sometimes that's what happens. We have these moments, and you can trigger these moments by watching a movie. I mean, I have a wonderful dog. I have to admit, I've been really lucky as far as dogs go. And in the movie theater with my son, and I'm watching that movie with the dog's life, where the dog keeps dying and coming back and dying and coming back, and I'm like, oh gosh! And we just lost our dog, and we thought, oh, good dog movie. So his girlfriend's sitting beside him, and him and I the theater crying, and she does not understand. She has no clue. So we leave the theater and we apologize to her if we embarrassed her in the movie theater, but we're living this emotion of this great grief and loss, that we have. And she's like, I've never seen anybody do this. I said, yes, but this was a real emotion for us. And it was, obviously, we still had some leftover feelings in our body that we had not fully expressed. Because who cries that much about a dog? Well, unless you've had a pet for many, many, many years, people might not understand. But it's a real, true loss. And that woke up this loss inside of us. But I didn't just cry because there was a lot of dogs dying. Didn't just cry for her, but I cried for all the pets. It seemed that I couldn't match every dog on the screen with a dog I ever had, But I felt it. And we honored it in the moment. We didn't try to hide. We didn't try to swallow it back, go to the washroom. We just bawled our eyes out. It was very freeing. And this is what she got from this. It's like, I wish I could have cried. So sometimes we're afraid of being judged. When I go, well, if I do this, people will judge me. If I cry, people will think I'm weak. We have all these weird beliefs in our head that we, somehow got brought up with. And I was brought up with 6 boys, so crying was a sign of weakness. It's a thing I had to work on. But she says, you feel so much brighter. You feel so much lighter. And I could never do that. I said, of course we did. Just hang on with us long enough, and then you'll be fine. So, this isn't a race. I'm not asking you to race from one event to the next, but allow them to come true when they do. Another example, I was playing pool in Peru, of all places. We found a pool table. I'm like, oh, sweet. I love playing pool. And I start playing pool, and all of a sudden, the same thing happens. This big swell of emotion comes to the surface, because I will guarantee you this much. Once you start peeling off and putting off all this load of crap that you've been carrying inside of you, it's a lot easier for the stuff to just then bubble to the surface, as opposed to you having to dig and dig and dig, okay? And so this emotion bubbled in my chest, and I went like, I miss my dad. Now I'm trying not going to take into it, because I miss my dad all the time, but he passed away 5 years ago now. But the man could play pool. It was unbelievable. To watch him play was just like an art, because he could bring that ball around, and I swear he was making that ball dance everywhere he wanted, and he just cleared the table, and you'd be like, didn't care you lost. He was so impressed with the skills. It was just like, oh my gosh, look at this game. It's just like incredible. And I was able to feel that I miss him. And that was okay. But then the bigger bubble came up, and I missed my brother, because that's who I played pool with all the time. So in Peru, picking up the phone, love messenger. Hey, it's like, you know what time it is? I miss you. Oh, okay. Right? He's like, so what brought this on? They know me and my family and my friends. If I'm calling, it's I miss you and I love you right now. They're like, okay. I did that to Chris in Spain. You're crying as I'm walking at my feet hurt. And she'd be like, Sonia, I'm sorry. I wish I could be there with you. You'll be fine. And it's like, oh, okay. Fine. And I kept walking, right? But this is who I am now. All these years, and I was a policewoman, so there was no emotions allowed. I saw horrible things, and I wish I could have cried sometimes, because it breaks our heart to see what's happening. You know, it terrifies us too sometimes, what we see. And we're not allowed to feel. I think that's what probably brought everything to such a halting point for me, was that I couldn't feel nothing. It was not a job description. So now I feel, friends, and that's why I love you guys, and I hug you guys all the time, because I can. I live so freely. And I'm always happy. It's not a facade. This is actually who I am. Because now I've taken the garbage out. Yeah. So ask yourself, if you're having trouble with this exercise, how long have I been carrying this one? Right? Because I'm asking you back from the closest incident and working your way back, and you will be shocked to know that you've carried this since at least childhood. And if you're lucky like me and have visions, you can see just how far back that even goes. But they all came from your childhood or early childhood. Because you weren't yet able to make sense of what's happening. And so you're confused, and the confusion adds to your fear. And this is the other key to this. Your ego says we can't handle this, which is true, and sometimes you can't even talk, right? Young kids, they cry, they got scared by something. That it's a rat that they saw, or there's a horrible thing on a TV show, or they're playing with this thing and they don't expect it, and that stupid clown pops up. Anybody with a fear of clown here? Yeah, well, I can guarantee you that fear comes from a stupid jack in the thing that jumped in your face.
I know exactly where it's from. I was 3 and there was a clown at a hockey game that like peered underneath the table I was hiding under and was like, "Hello, little girl." It was terrifying.
Yeah. But this is how far this goes. And people are like, fear of clown. I'm like, I know people who are afraid of red balloons. And I know that they're afraid because they were little kids and they were playing with this balloon that popped and it was made a loud noise and it scared them, and they don't know what they've done, but it was scary, and ever since then they're deadly afraid of red balloons. If there's balloons in the room, they won't go in. Those are real fears. But they've been carrying this for their entire life. Right? So, and ask yourself now, close your eyes, everybody. Even those of you listening, close your eyes. Hopefully you're not driving while you're listening to this. Close your eyes and ask yourself, pick a fear. Don't pick a fear, minimal fear. Pick a fear you know you've carried for a long time. Okay? Emotionally attached fear. Paralyzing fear. Okay? And now get in touch with your physical body and tell me, where is it creeping up on you? Okay, put your hand over that spot. Okay, everybody's got a spot. And where have you been having health issues? Most of the people in the room, you guys can't see this, but they're pointing to either their stomach or their chest or the hip. So the hip prevents you from moving forward. That fear is incapacitating you to the point that you can't move forward. A fear in the stomach, pancreatic, liver area is a fear that is preventing you from being yourself, your full authentic self, being able to express your truth and to be authentically you. A fear on your heart is preventing you from love. And you're hurting and you're unable to open this heart and this love for yourself. Each of these places, this is how you're being affected by this fear. And that's just one fear. We haven't even examined the list of fears you wrote down. But this was one of the most important ones for you. So, the question is that why have we not done anything about it yet? Why are we letting the fears rule ours? Does anybody have an idea? Why are we letting the fears rule us?
Because we don't know how to address it. We don't have tools to then be like, okay, I have a fear. Now what?
I'm not even sure people even go there.
To hide, forget about it.
Yeah, you're afraid.
Yeah.
It's not laziness. I don't want you to think that it's lazy. I don't want you to think that it's because you're stupid. It's there because it was originally designed to protect you and your integrity of who you are. It is supposed to be one of the last things you look at. It is meant to protect you. So you're meant to run away from it. And now I'm asking you, I don't know if you ever heard of this expression, but you can fight or flight.
Fight, flight, or freeze.
I'm asking you, instead of flighting, to stay. and face it. Because you're no longer in danger. There is no danger here. These fears were real, they served a purpose, but they're no longer necessary. And if you can understand the originator of this fear, you can now be free of it. And free your body of this pain and this illness that has been developing as well. Okay? But it's also that even though you identify you have a fear, you didn't have the support, or you didn't know how. But mostly because it's meant to protect you. You're meant to run away from it. It is what it is, right? So we have to stop beating ourselves up, thinking, I should have known better. I should have done this years ago. You're too young to have done this years ago, you know? So it's not something that automatically occurs. It's something you have to go digging for at first. And once you start clearing the stuff, you won't believe how peaceful you will feel. Now, one of the ways to face these fears is that you have to realize what needs to change in your thoughts, because that's where it all begins. You have to have a plan. When I'm faced with this fear, what will I do next time? If you're not running from it, you have to be prepared. Right? There's never any better idea than to have a plan and be prepared for when you're going to do these type of work. One of the things you do with your emotions, you need to feel the emotions. Mm-hmm. One thing you do for your behavior is you give yourself the time and the space. So, if you can, go into a quiet space and analyze these things. Now, is going during your commute the best way to do this? Probably not. You need a quiet space, a safe space. A space where you won't feel judged, where you won't feel threatened, and go in, because then you're safe. Yeah. Now, the other thing is I promised to talk to you before we end, and we're actually getting close to that. So, what if my fears are just, I've been there since I was little, but I have no idea where I got this. Now, personally, I grew up in a house, and I had my room, and my room was about the size of this room here, which had plenty of room for me. And because I had 6 brothers, they all had to camp in 2 bedrooms together, but I was a girl, so I had my own room. So if someone should have suffered from claustrophobia, it should have been them, not me, right? So I had all the space in my room, and it was all me and my stuff, and it was great. And yet, every night I'd go to sleep, and I felt the walls closing in, or I would feel like literally the roof would come down and squish me, or I felt like I sunk into my brother's bedroom in the basement, and then I was stuck. There was no exit, and I had to crawl through holes and horrible long tunnels that were barely fit to fit a rat and try to get out. And all this time, there's a part of me that knows this is my parents' house. There's no tunnels there. Where am I? Which freaked me even more, because now I'm not in my parents' house. So, oh my gosh, where did I get myself into? And I would wake up having terrible, terrible, terrible night sweats and unable to go back to sleep. And I developed insomnia, which, and then you can see from this fear that I developed a lot of problems that came after. But, if you've been kidnapped, locked into a sarcophagus, and taken away and stuck there for even one night, I can understand your claustrophobic fears. But in my case, none of that ever happened. So what was this? And this is karma that you're carrying from the past life. Those unexplicable fears that have plagued you and that are very, very real are sometimes coming from a past life. So how do we access those? Because now you say, well, I have no memory of that. Well, lucky for you, you can access this through Akashic Records. What is Akashic Records? Akashic Records are where there's the Akashic Records library kept in the ether. It's a humongous library. So think about it. There's 7 billion somewhat humans on the planet now. Every single human has a book in that library. It's humongous. And not all souls are incarnated at this time on the planet, therefore there's even more books than that. Inside that book that has your name on it is all your thoughts that you thought all your words that you said, and all your behaviors that you've done for every single one of your incarnations on this planet. It's a big book, right? There's a lot of information in there. And in that book, you keep track of your soul. You keep track of how you're evolving, how you're growing. So if you ever wonder, what are we doing here? It doesn't have to be a big religious question. You're here because you're a soul having a human experience. While you're in this human envelope at this time that you chose, you're here to learn certain things. But your to-do list of learning things is so big that you can't achieve all of your to-do list in just one life. And so you're given multiple opportunities to show up and learn. And it's not necessarily because you're here that you actually get it. I don't know what Hitler was supposed to learn, but I'm pretty sure I can say that he miserably failed. Right? So, well, you gotta throw a joke in there, come on. But all of us are here to learn certain things. So, are we perfect? No. Did we learn everything the first go around? No. And the people we're evolving with are evolving with us. So, unless you are being raised by Mother Teresa, Jesus, and Gandhi, and Dalai Lama, they're going to be messed up people too. Right? You got to give them a break. I'm going to be talking about forgiveness in a minute here, because they're humans too. They're also disconnected from Creator. They also forgot their past life. They're also searching like you are, and they're doing the best they can. Sometimes it's hard to believe, but yes, they are. And within the capacity that they are given at this time, in this lifetime, they are trying the best they can. So now, why is it so important that we should heal those old fears as well and go look in our past lives? Not just for the sake of saying, I was Cleopatra. I was not, by the way, but I was simply a maid in the Isis temple, and I was carrying dirty laundry from the bird chamber. So I was not Cleopatra. But why is this important to know these past lives and taking the time to go there? Because if you don't, you're going to repeat patterns from lifetime to lifetime. You're going to be dragging these things with you like a big ankle chain and a bullet with you. And some of them will take the forms of these fears. But some of them will take forms of weird behavior and relationship that, or sorry, I had the French word in my mind, that are seem to be harming you. I have cleared so many karmic relationships in this lifetime. It's unbelievable. But it was important for me to finally free myself of all these attachments that I had built up over so many past lifetimes. But it was through the past life that I was able to understand my relationship with my mother and my father. And I was able to forgive her then. Okay? So, while we're here on the planet, we're all connected. We don't see that unless you might be able to see energy. But I can see that. Every week we have groups coming here for talks. We have groups coming here for meditation. I have groups coming for teaching and learning things. And these groups slowly but surely are forming bigger links with one another, supporting each other through their learning and evolving. And we are all playing a role in this big play. I could tell you that this isn't real, and you're going to look at me and go, come on, of course it's real. Look, I can touch you, I can touch the fireplace. Of course this is real. But I encourage you, if you're really curious about this, to take the Akashic class, because it's not. It's made of atoms, and atoms are made of quantum energy, which is basically made of air. So there's nothing here that is actually real. It's just energy. So any fans of Star Trek in the room? Okay, go on, Jenny. You know, when they go into the holodeck, and the holodeck is a place where you walk and there's nothing, and then they push a few buttons on the wall, and all of a sudden there's plants, there's water, and the water feels, they get wet if they get into that water. And they actually can eat the food, and it tastes just like the other food. The replicators are creating out of thin air food, right? But this is exactly what's happening right now. we are creating this reality with our minds to learn lessons. In the Star Trek, they go there and they practice being pirates and they have a lot of fun, but they know they're playing. So it's not that big of a deal because whatever is created in that environment, then they pop out. It's all over and it's done with. What we don't understand is that's exactly what's happening with us. Our soul pops into a physical body, we play, we just happen to play for 60, 70, 80 years, and then we pop back out of the holodeck and we go back to being a soul going, that was fun. Wow, that was really cool. Thanks for being part of this. Yeah, it was great. Let's do this again next lifetime. Yeah, sure, let's get together. That's how it works. That's what it is. If you can look at life that way, all of a sudden it's really hard to be serious about anything. That's why I'm choking all the time, because this isn't real. If I don't like something, I change it. It's that easy, because it's my power. Now you're like, oh, well, I don't know how I would change this, and somebody, said, well, actually, I was tired of negativity in my life, and I decided I didn't want it anymore, and I lost through my friends. I'm like, right, and how were their friends? It was very negative. Well, there you go. But now you have room for 3 more friends. And these times, pick friends that are positive. Right? We've changed the rule of the play. New play. It's like act scene, act 2, whatever, and up with the old different scene, and then all the things move around. I've been to a play for the Miserables, and it was just amazing, because first it's a nice, beautiful city, and all of a sudden, they're in the war, and everything is exploding, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that just happened in a flash of the eye. This is exactly the way this is now. If you can get rid of your fears, and if you can focus your attention and energy on the good stuff, you can make the good stuff happen. Because that's where your focus and your energy is going to be directed. And why is it not happening now? Just look at the list of fears you provided yourself. Because that's where your energy is going. You only have so much energy every day to create what you want to create. I always tell the people that I work with, meditate first thing in the morning. Don't want to get up early. I'm not asking you, why is this concept that people think they must meditate for an hour? Who has written that in cement anywhere? You don't. I'm just asking. When you get up in the morning, which is what I do every day, I sit up and I say, just for today, I'm grateful. And I list a number of things I'm grateful for. So that the universe knows, I know what I got. I'm really happy right now. And then I say, just for today, I will do my job to 100%. Which meant, for example, be ready for my client, be ready for the stock, have everything working, try to start on time, right? Just for today, I will respect all life. I purposely make a note in my focus of energy and in my brain that I will respect all living beings. You know the difference that makes? That makes I look people in the eye. That means I say hello to people. That means I hug people and I love people. Because I honor their living. I honor their energy. I honor their presence. And then I say, just for today, I'm at peace. And just for today, I'm what's the last one? I'm at peace and
Kind to myself. I will not anger. I will not worry.
Yeah, but anyway, so it's on the website. If you guys want to watch it on YouTube, I have the 5 principles of the meditation. It takes 5 minutes. But that 5 minutes in the morning changes the focus of my mind to my day is going to be awesome. It's going to be on. And all my days, guess what? They're awesome, right? And then I hear, because I always welcome comments and messages, right? And I have people who said, you know what, I've been practicing this thing for 2 weeks, and the one day I don't do it, everything went to crap. I'm like, yes. And it's like, I'm never going to skip my morning meditation again. I'm like, good. I'm sorry you have to learn this way, but you can see that just 15 minutes of meditating alone in the morning will shift this. Now, if you spend the rest of your day being negative and thinking about all the problems, you're kind of undoing the work. But if you go with trust and confidence that you're having a good day, and that's for today, not tomorrow. Now, if you get tomorrow in the equation, that's all going to be washed away. But today, is there any reason why today should not be good? Is there any reason why today should not be wonderful? Is there any reason why today you should not be loved and appreciated, respected, and honored? No. No, today is a good day. So, as you change your focus, as you change your energies, this is the way you change your world and you change your life. So, looking back on those past lives, clearing those old wounds that you've been carrying with you in this invisible backpack on your shoulder, allows you more freedom, again, to free the energy that's going there to create even something better for yourself. So now, one of the ways that you can do this, and you want to determine what, you can use a soul reading. A soul reading is a tool that we determine what your archetypes are. What are your tools that you were coming into this life with, and where are you at with these tools? Do you need working on them? Are you pretty good at it? And how are they interacting and working together with one another? It's an essential tool that I found for the people that I work with to help guide them on their soul's purpose, into finding their goals, to be intrinsically happy. I did this in 2009, and I discovered that's when I discovered this is it. This is the job I need to be doing. This made sense. It made sense of all my life. Everything that happened to me made sense in that moment, when I discovered why I was on this planet and why I was here for. Right? Then another technique that we have that we use is the soul retrieval. So when you suffer a great harm, and that you suffer a great fear, sometimes what happens is you tear away at your soul and you toss it in the corner and say, I don't want this. Right? If you had a big heartbreak, if you have a big loss, you will tear these pieces. It's literally something that people would do a long time ago. They would tear their clothes and to demonstrate how emotionally they were being torn apart. They were demonstrating this, right? But this happens to your soul. And so we can actually do a soul retrieval to retrieve this piece and bring it back. Heal it. We don't just bring it back. We look at it. We treat it with love and kindness and compassion, and we put it back in. Because we're no longer afraid of this pain, of this emotion. It's there to let us know. If you cared about this much and you, like, for example, my father died. Well, the reason why it hurt so much is because he loved me so much. But if I tear this out, so I don't feel the hurt, I also don't feel the love. I am preventing myself from feeling the beauty that's behind this little bit of pain that I need to feel in order to get past it and get back to basking in the beautiful memories that we have. Okay? I'll finish with the forgiveness. So we ran out of time for the body elemental, but I can actually do an entire talk on body elemental, so that's not that big of a deal. I hope that none of you are too disappointed. But I thought it was important to do the exercise with you guys instead of me just talking. So you get a little bit of a more graphic image and idea of what's going on inside of you as we're doing this. So I hope you enjoyed that. But in the end, if you can understand the concept that you're all here to help each other, that everybody's human and nobody's perfect, and you will allow other people to be who they are, because they're allowing you to be who you are, then you can find your way to forgiveness. Because below all these fears is a great amount of hurt, and below this hurt is the gift of compassion, of love and forgiveness that's waiting you. And I was often, when I was little, wondering, why am I suffering so much? Why is life so horrible? Why is this so hard? Why? And the answer came much later. So when I was 7, I yelled at God in my room and I said, you're a jerk. You're not nice. Why would you do this to me? I'm just a little kid. And I'm talking horrible things, okay? I'm not talking, I dropped my candy in mud and lost my candy. And then I felt so bad because I didn't want to talk to him anymore. You don't exist, because if you'd exist, this wouldn't be happening. Right? This was my solution at 7 and a day older. I said, yeah, okay, I'm sorry about yesterday. I got carried away. I don't think I can live in a world where you don't actually exist. because then that would take all meaning away from me. So I'll agree you exist. I'll agree that you're not responsible for what other people are doing because you gave them free will. Thanks, by the way. But I will trust that in your bigger plan that I cannot see because I'm 7 a day old, there's a purpose to this, and this will make sense to me one day. It took years, but I am not judgmental when someone says to me, I did this or this happened. I went through horrible things and I got out now, so I can guide you to this happiness. And I do it willingly because I can help you find this path. It all makes sense now. When people approach me and they're like, this happened to me, and they feel dirty, they feel whatever it is. And I'm like, oh yeah, me too. And they're like, what? Right? I didn't, and it was interesting again, this biography I wrote, and I'm looking through the journals, and I won't tell the boyfriends I'm dating that I was raped. I will not. And today, I'll tell the whole world, I don't care. But I wouldn't tell them. And then every time around the date of the rape, I couldn't have sex with them, so then they would think that I was cheating on them, or that I didn't love them anymore, and I got dumped all the time. And you'd think that, I would finally say something, and I'd be like, no, he's dumping me for this, how would he understand? Maybe if I did open up, maybe they would have understood, right? This was all in my head. But when someone comes to me and tells me this, I know how hard it is for them to say it. Because they might have been what was done to them. I know, I felt huge shame. I felt and I'm writing in the journal, I must have brought this on myself. What have I done to make this person think it was okay? And I'm writing these things, and I'm so lost, and I'm thinking, but you want a boyfriend, right? It's stuff. The events in my life led me to help so many free themselves of these pains and these fears, and these are just a few examples. I'm trying to help you do something on your own, but if it's something big that you're struggling with, it's definitely, we have the tools to help. But some of them take longer than 5 or 10 minutes. But at least if you can recognize what's going on inside of your life and you realize, I need to do some work on this, we've already taken the first steps tonight, right? In making you realize that you have the power. So I don't want you to leave here tonight going, oh, what am I going to do? I want you to leave here tonight feeling strong that, oh my gosh, this fear has stopped manipulating me from behind the curtain. My subconscious is no longer going to make me make decisions based on my fear. I'm in charge now. I'm awake, I'm conscious, and I make different choices starting today. And if I need help, I'll go get help. But this stops now. Their fears are no longer going to be what's hindering me to getting the life I want and deserve. But I think that's it for tonight. Anybody have questions? So do we have any questions? Yeah.
I have a question. When we do this exercise, we're obviously making a whole list of all the fears, and then there's the hard work of trying to look back and going deep and figuring out, was I 3, was I 2,
Oh, that's not important. That's not important what age you were. What you're going back is you're looking at, like for the abandonment thing, well, it started with this guy saying, it's over. It's this, right? And then I went back. So when's the last time someone rejected me, pushed me away? It doesn't matter if you have the exact age. You're just tracing back how many times did this pop up and how did you react? How did you run away from it?
So would the Akashic Records be a quicker way of
Yes.
getting that?
Yes.
Rather than you having to trace back,
Yes.
they'll be able to tell you
Yes.
this is when it happened.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. And for this life, the Akashic record is great for the past lives, but for this life, the psych-k works. How good does psych-k work?
It's crazy. It's mind blowing, actually.
Right.
Yeah, so much is changing. Like the past couple of days, like I'm emotional just thinking about it because like I'm shifting every day, every minute.
Because there's no more
It's-
fear
yeah.
stopping the progression. There's no more fear preventing from it from happening. You have a suggestion? would you like to share since you said nothing the
Yeah.
whole evening?
I would just say go and have psych-k.
Yeah.
I'm supposed
Yeah.
to be bedridden, and yesterday I walked 20 kilometers.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So, I mean, if I
So
didn't tell you, it's progress.
Yeah.
once you are plucking these fears out of your way,
I,
you're unstoppable.
I just
Yeah.
want to say something about that though, because like I'm really good at organising everything except paperwork. And I went home after that and I was like, okay, and I pulled everything out and I was like, I'm going to do it. And now it's done. And I'm like, wow. And then that made me move forward to the other
Mhm.
issue that I was having. I was like, wow. And I cleaned my closet out and I was like, oh. And then I put on a t-shirt and I hadn't worn for a while and I thought, huh. And I still had it on, but I thought, no, let me just put this away in that closet. And there was a mirror and I saw myself in this t-shirt, but I wasn't really looking at me. I was looking at me, but it was as though somebody else was looking at me. And I was like, wow. And I hear like, wow, you're I'm like, oh my God, I'm beautiful. I'm like, wow. And I've never said that to myself. People say, oh, you're really pretty. Your eyes are really pretty. Oh, you're really beautiful. You're such a kind person. I go, yeah. Because
You
I
kind
don't
of brush
feel
it off,
And
yeah.
it's the first time I looked in the mirror and I saw myself. I went, you are. You are. Hell yeah, you're fine. And I walked off to the t-shirt off and I thought, I'm hanging out in the closet. I'm going to be wearing that. And it's just changing every
Yeah.
day.
Because
Yeah.
the fear is what holding you down.
Yeah.
All these
Every day,
fears,
every
and-
hour.
I mean, I
Every
just went
minute,
through
yeah.
a few examples of how you develop your fears, and it'd be crazy to think that I just have the one.
No.
But you don't have to live in fear. You really don't. Yes, dear.
You talked about fear being brought up by like specific triggers, like
Yes.
events that happen.
Mhm.
What if it's like less of an active thing and more of like a passive like thing that's kind of always lingering in your mind?
Same thing.
Yeah.
And because as lingering there, that means there's something triggering you constantly.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why it's lingering and not just brought up. And those should be addressed as soon as you can, because as you're lingering there, that means you're being triggered all the time. So that means there's a lot of things you're not doing that you could be doing because you're constantly afraid.
I guess the food is rotting faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the fridge
Yeah,
motor just went
time
out.
to clean the fridge.
Literally, if the fridge motor went out, so now it's not just rotting; everything's going to perish. It's really the not clearing out your emotions, not clearing out your emotional body, your mental body, and your spiritual body. We keep thinking in the physical dimension all the time, but we're not physical beings.
Mm.
We are energetic beings, and all these fields of energy that surrounds all your other bodies must be cleansed. They must be cleared.
So does it mean that once you've got rid of them, that they will not come back?
Once you get rid of them, they don't come back. They no longer serve a purpose.
When you say figure out what it is and then learn to let it go, how does one let it go? Like if I know
Akashic
what it
Records.
is,
That's a whole course.
but if I just want to work on this thing that's in my head,
Right.
How
Well,
do
you
I
can
just-
come for
The
psych-k.
psych-k.
Yeah,
the
the
psych-k. I
psych-k.
told you.
So you got
It's
okay,
like,
so you got
mm.
choices. You can learn how to do this, which I always encourage you to do.
Yeah.
Because you empower yourself by knowing how.
and I want
This-
to
this
teach
is
my
it.
children how to do it too.
Exactly, right? So
Yeah.
it's essential that when I'm teaching a class, I'm not just doing it because I need money. I'm doing it because I'm trying to empower the people. Because I make a lot more money if you come see me and pay me to do it for yourself. It's a lot more money that way. But I'm trying to empower you people to do it by yourself and teach your children and teach your friends. And I'm teaching my siblings. And they got to pay to come. I'm not doing it for free, right? Because that's my job. But they can teach their children,
So
right?
what are you talking about here?
Anything that
I
she
teach
teaches.
is always to empower you. But specifically, if you want to learn how to manifest this and change this, the Akashic Record is the way, right? You'll be free of it. Until then, or if you don't feel like taking a class, the fastest way is either to get a soul reading, to get a soul retrieval, or to come for psych-k and just 1 hour you're
Be
done.
done.
And you're done. It's never going to come
Mhm.
back.
Not in this lifetime or any other.
No, because you've learned your lesson, you're moving on, and you
Cleared it
don't
out.
need
Yeah,
You
yeah.
cleared it out. And she had it. Their lives are changed completely.
Yeah.
Completely. And I'm starting to get if you go look on the Facebook page, I'm starting to get these testimonials of the people because I encouraged them, just write a little something about it. And the people were like, I can't believe how much getting rid of my fears has completely opened my world. And things are happening. One of them was she was not worthy of getting money. And now she is. So the very next day, not even 24 hours later, she had booked a bunch of new clients. I'm not going to say what it is because then we could identify her. But she booked a bunch of clients, and she was like, wow, but this happened. And then she had to, something major was coming up, and it came and went, and it went in her favor, and everything was wonderful. She's like, my whole life is different. I feel like laughing all the time. I feel like celebrating all the time. Well, yeah, you don't have fears holding you back. You don't have fear terrifying you. You're not living in the dark. So why would you not be happy all the time? Why would you not be celebrating all the time? Right? Your choices affect everything that's happening. Now, keep in mind, I say celebrating. For us, it means that, we're going to the restaurant to eat vegetarian. It doesn't mean that you're going to go binge drinking and partying and, you have to keep everything clean, right? So you have to make choices that keep you safe. So if you're diabetic and you go eat a bunch of cake because you're no longer afraid that's not going to work, obviously, right? I mean, there's consequences to the actions you're taking. But if you're afraid to lose control and you no longer have this fear, you no longer will resort to food because you're no longer afraid. And then everything changes. That's how it works. So any other questions?
When's the next class?
Yeah.
Are you ready to
Actually, I was going to ask, I've got Akashic reading set for Thursday. Maybe I should switch this to psych-k. Is it possible? Or is it
So
something...
it's an hour, it's the same thing.
Okay.
It's just about, it's
And when do we get to do the course on the Akashic?
Akashic Records will be in some weekend in
September, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a psych-k class in September, and I have an Akashic, and I have a REIKI 1 and 2, and I don't know what else.
Meditation.
Mediumship again.
And the mediumship. So I'm pretty much, that's pretty much it.
You're gonna be busy.
That's fun.
Meditation one, we were talking about the meditation there. I do meditation every day, but I like the guided one. Is it okay, or is it always better the one that is quiet? You only be quiet.
Listen, if you're meditating, that's great.
Mm.
Whatever you do during your meditation, you can improve eventually if you don't want to do the same one all the time. We
I
switch
change-
every week.
I change every day.
Yeah,
all
there you go.
the
So
guided
it's not eventually to get to the quiet place that you're talking about. That's very advanced
one.
meditating.
Really quiet. I tried so many times, but it's kind of
Well, then you might want to try the class on meditation so I can teach you how to get there.
the
I can't-
completely one or the completely quiet one.
I'll get you there, but I'll show you different ways to get there. And it's 5 or 6 weeks long, and you come every week for 2 hours, and I teach you every night a different method, and we meditate for an hour together. And while you're meditating, you tell me if I'm distracted, I'm thinking about this, and then I help you correct as you're meditating. And then you practice that for a whole week.
When she does the bowls.
Yeah, try it tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
Tomorrow
is
night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's one tomorrow with the crystal balls.
That's pretty cool.